come here today to announce my candidacy for the Democratic nomination for President of the United States. This is what happens when you censor somebody for 18 years. I got a lot to talk about. They shouldn't have shut me up that long, because now I'm going to really let loose on them.
Okay, RFK Jr. I have to admit, he's catching on. I didn't say I was a fan, I don't like anybody, but he's getting more and more popular. Starting to get hard to avoid this guy. He's on every program. His message is getting out there. What's going on? Let's talk to Jeffrey Tucker about this. He's always on point. Joining me now, founder and president of Brownstone Institute, Jeffrey Tucker. Okay, Jeffrey, obviously the name Kennedy is one Americans are very, very familiar with. They are not very familiar with RFK Jr. The floor is yours. Filibuster away. Who is this guy?
I hadn't heard of him really either until his book, Real Anthony Fauci, came out. This is during a time when we were hungry for information. The world had been shut down for the better part of a year, and we were all crying out for answers. What's going on here? And then this mighty treatise comes out, just seemingly out of nowhere, where he had everything figured out, tracing it all the way back to the post-war period, from the 40s and the 50s and through the Eisenhower speech and the assassination of his uncle and the rise of the biomedical security state. It really is a masterpiece. It's called The Real Anthony Fauci, but really it covers the entire sort of cartelization of the biomedical security state leading up to lockdowns. And I've been pillaging that book, for the better part of 2 years for story ideas. In any case, I went to a luncheon with him, and as far as I know, this is the very first time he said anything, even to friends or publicly, about the possibility of running for president. I almost couldn't believe it, and of course I was for it. And it was about 3 weeks later he announced, and so I went to his announcement, and that was a riveting occasion. There were thousands upon thousands of people there, and he was on point, spoke for, almost 2 hours straight, just extraordinary. The intelligence that this man has is like not what you expect from a typical politician. He's as much an intellectual and an educator as he is a politician. But I tell you something else, Jesse, what's interesting about him, and I think you will like this aspect of him. What's at the core of why he's running is a genuine belief that America can actually be saved. I don't mean just, as a nation. I mean the old America that he remembers as a kid, and that we remember until relatively recently, an America that's ruled by democracy and truth, with an open, free media where middle-class families thrive and do well, where the government tells you the truth and isn't combined with private industry to create a corporative estate. He has a genuine sort of belief in that. It's a little bit nostalgic. On the other hand, it's really inspiring. One of the most interesting things about the way his candidacy is transpiring is that he spends a lot of times educating people about our own history. He talks about the founding period, about the Boston Tea Party, about the origins of the Bill of Rights. He tells stories about the founding fathers. He talks, of course, all the way back to his uncle's assassination and the Warren Commission that came out after that. Anyway, there's this sort of deep historical aspect of it that first time we started talking this way, it created a kind of romance within me. And I realized something. Wow, it's strange. You don't hear American politicians genuinely talking about the rich and beautiful history of this country with any kind of knowledge or affection. It's almost like our history is being taken away from us. In fact, it's been demonized. We're not even supposed to look back to the founding as something about which we should be proud. So this is a different kind of approach, and it's tapping into something real and something meaningful and rooting us as a people in something meaningful, something we can believe in, and something that he thinks he can restore.
What's he say about the assassinations?
Well, he doesn't believe that the Warren Commission was telling the truth, and he thinks that that CIA was definitely involved in this, and he thinks that the cover-up that's been going on all these years, what are we talking about, 60 years, is a major reason for the corruption of the intelligence agencies, and how it is that they've bought off so many politicians and media figures, and that they're trying to keep the censorship alive in part to protect the CIA from being discovered as the real source of this transformative moment in American history. In fact, he said something one day in a public speech. He said that assassination really did break the country, and we've never quite recovered from it, that was sort of the beginning of the end. And I wondered if that is true, and I'm not really old enough to say either way, but I'm going to trust him on that. In fact, it seems kind of plausible that something really did change in 1963. I mean, it did become a kind of a different country, a darker, less trusting kind of space. And so, Jesse, it's fascinating what drives this man. He seems like, it seems like what's really motivating him is a kind of a desire for, gosh, I don't want to use the word revenge, but there's a hint of that. I mean, there's a hint that he has to make right what went wrong. So he's thrown himself into this race without any real personal advantage to him, and he's ready for the fight. I mean, you would really admire this about him. I heard him the other day saying that he gains strength from the attacks. Okay, so if you gain strength from the attacks, you don't regret them, you don't lick your wounds, you don't fear them, you become fearless, and you become courageous, and you just realize that nothing can stop you. And he's preempted all the attacks on him. He's lived kind of a raucous and difficult personal life. And he said several times in interviews that if the skeletons in his closet could vote, he'd win by a landslide. Which is a very funny comment.
Okay, that's
right. And
that's
it's a way of kind of, it's a way of just dispensing with all the usual cancellations. And I'm talking to you right now from a campsite in New Hampshire, which is being attended by 3,000 lovers of liberty. It's called PorkFest, and I'm introducing them. I'm kind of excited about that, obviously. I'm very honored to be tagged for that role. But when he announced he was speaking here, the New Hampshire Democratic Party just went crazy and sent him a note. These are bad people. They're terrible people. They're ruining our politics. They're right wing. The usual smears and everything. Without even missing a beat, Robert Kennedy sent 2 tweets out saying, "You know what? Live free or die. I love these people. These are my people. They want to hear me. I want to talk to them." And I think we're just about done with this idea that somehow your associations that you have with people, cause you to be canceled and smeared. It's down with cancel culture. I'm going to speak at PorkFest and just basically screw you. So it's kind of refreshing, I mean, this is the way Americans are supposed to talk. This is the way we're supposed to think. And he's trying to rekindle that spirit in the American culture at large, that sort of ferocious, courage and the willingness to stand up for freedom and rights, no matter who's screaming at you or how many intimidating people come at you. We're just supposed to say, screw you, I'm an American, I have my freedom and my rights, and that's it. So he's kind of walking his talk in that way, and it's a bit of an inspiration on many levels. Now, does this mean I agree with him on everything? I probably not, right? I mean, we could talk about some of the differences I have with him, but it doesn't really matter to me. I mean, I think what this country is lacking right now is that sort of ferocious spirit, that love of the Constitution and that celebration of the Bill of Rights and, who we are as a people. It's strange how that has been taken away from us, like gradually and then almost all at once. So I would say that the RFK candidacy is an implausible kind of restorative attempt. It's an attempt to kind of bring back that which was in all of our hearts, but we've been intimidated and pushed around and told to suppress and told to forget about it and forget about your freedom, forget about your rights, forget about your dumb patriotic songs and that sort of thing. That's what he's trying to help us remember and believe in again. I mean, can it work? I don't know, but all the polls are showing him to be very popular. In fact, I saw a poll 3 days ago that said he's got the highest favorability of any existing candidate for high public office in this country, which is just a remarkable thing. Yeah. So you see the momentum growing around him. And I'll tell you one other thing. I know I've taken up too much time. He is a very compelling presence. When he's in the room, that sort of star quality comes through. He smiles a lot. He talks to you as a human being. He's extremely personable, very authoritative. When he doesn't know something, he'll tell you. If he does know something, he's going to tell you that too. So it's not like any politician I've actually ever encountered.
For too long, we've been led to believe that communism is a thing of the past. But the truth is, communism is alive. It's here, and it's infiltrating every aspect of American life. Introducing the Anti-Communist Manifesto by Jesse Kelly, the practical guide for patriots ready to defend our nation from its most dangerous enemy. Discover the shocking extent of communist infiltration in our education system, their alliance with American corporations, and the twisted truth behind environmentalism. This eye-opening book exposes the true face of communism and empowers you to fight back. Join the fight for freedom. Pre-order your copy of the Anti-Communist Manifesto today by going to jessekellybook.com.